One of the simplest yet most effective approaches to avoiding oversights, equipment malfunctions, and forgotten gear is the execution of a thorough pre-dive safety check. Although every diver learns to perform this critical practice at the start of their diving journey, these checks are often conducted with less thoroughness than they should be, and at times they are completely overlooked. Many divers rely on acronyms as a mnemonic aid to remember what to inspect, often following a nonsensical sequence rather than a thoughtful evaluation process. This approach can lead to a reliance on rote memorization rather than a logical, systematic, and consistent assessment of their equipment, so let's take a detailed look at the most effective procedure for conducting a pre-dive safety check. The first crucial consideration for the safety check is the timing and location. Divers typically check their gear on the boat or shore, but this may not be sufficient, as entering the water can cause items to shift, become damaged, or get lost. The BC is the only piece of equipment that requires verification before entering the water, as it ensures divers remain buoyant and afloat on the surface. Additionally, unless the diver is walking into the water, fins should be worn before entry. All other equipment should be carefully inspected once the divers are in the water, floating at the surface to ensure everything is secure and functioning properly. The optimal method for performing a pre-dive check is to systematically examine all equipment in a structured sequence, moving from top to bottom and right to left, while thoroughly verifying the functionality of each component. This procedure encourages divers to actively engage with and critically evaluate their equipment, fostering mindful assessment rather than adhering to a mechanical routine. Testing regulators by breathing through them while submerged is essential for detecting potential leaks through the mouthpiece, an evaluation that cannot be accurately performed out of the water. This precaution is particularly important, as inhaling water during a dive can be both distressing and potentially lead to more serious complications. While breathing from the regulators, divers need to simultaneously check their SPG to confirm gas pressure before proceeding with the equipment assessment. Clear communication is fundamental at every stage of a dive, including pre-dive safety checks. To prevent misunderstandings, always use standardized hand signals to convey pressure information. Moving down in the sequence, divers have their backup light attached to the shoulder D-ring on the right side. As part of the pre-dive safety check, it is imperative to ensure the light is functioning properly. If we are using a back-mount scuba system, crossing over from right to left, we arrive at the inflator, so even if the BC has been inspected prior to entering the water, it is essential not to overlook this step. As with any equipment, there is a risk of inflator or deflator malfunction during entry. Remember, the BC serves two critical functions: keeping divers afloat at the surface and compensating for gas weight at depth, both of which are jeopardized by faulty controls. Consequently, it is imperative for divers to ensure that all buttons operate smoothly and do not get jammed during use. Carefully double-check both the inflation and deflation mechanisms, including those of dry suits when applicable. This thorough inspection is crucial, as any malfunction in the BC or dry suit can lead to serious challenges and risks during a dive. Moving along in order, when inspecting their dive computer, divers ensure not only that the device is securely worn on their arm, but also that it's powered on, configured for the appropriate gas mix, and sufficiently charged. This process ensures the computer is fully operational and properly set up for the dive. Additionally, dive computers equipped with built-in compasses often require calibration prior to the dive, while divers utilizing analog compasses must also confirm their functionality. Divers verify that their harness is properly secured and that the long hose is neatly stowed to maintain a streamlined profile, minimizing the risk of entanglement. The team must ensure not only a thorough understanding of each other's scuba equipment and its functionality, but also an awareness of all individual accessories. Therefore, each diver communicates the specific items they are carrying and its location to establish familiarity with their partner's gear, a critical factor for effective response in emergencies. Incorporating the S-drill into the pre-dive check is essential, as it ensures that each diver's long hose is free from entanglement and ready for deployment in the event of an out-of-gas scenario. Divers may perform this drill either sequentially or simultaneously, depending on the team's preference. The key objective is to visually inspect each other and confirm that the long hose is unobstructed from the first stage to the second stage, ensuring it is not entangled or trapped beneath other equipment such as hoses or straps and is completely accessible. The S-drill ends with the long hose secured in its proper streamlined position. The final step before the team begins their descent is the bubble check. During this procedure, one diver remains flat on the surface while another visually inspects for any leaks in the system. This inspection covers the cylinder valve, all first stage connections, the SPG, the wing, and if applicable, the entire dry suit. If bubbles are detected, the diver must pinpoint their source and consult with the team to determine the appropriate course of action. Depending on the location, size, and quantity of bubbles, the team may attempt to resolve the issue and proceed with the dive or decide to cancel it. Solutions can range from simple tasks like changing a dry suit wrist seal to more complex repairs, such as replacing an O-ring in a cylinder valve. When the entire team is satisfied that the pre-dive safety check has been thoroughly completed and meets all requirements, they initiate their descent. To learn more about proper descending procedures, watch our video by clicking the link in the upper right corner. We strongly recommend pausing the descent for a brief period at 3 meters to conduct a final check of the team before continuing further. If water conditions prevent the S-drill from being completed at the surface, it should be performed at this moment instead. The procedure is the same as it would be at the surface, except this time, the divers are in a horizontal trim position, which they should maintain at all times during the dive. Throughout this critical practice, it is essential that divers maintain awareness of their team and are prepared to respond effectively in case of an emergency. It is also an excellent opportunity to assess if divers possess the necessary level of skills and techniques for the dive. This is particularly useful when diving with new team members, as it allows divers to evaluate each other's ability to conduct effective gas sharing, maintain their depth without excessive movement, and stay aware of their team and surroundings. Thanks for watching and hope you learned something. Consider subscribing to FlowState Divers to become part of the community of conscious divers and to get notified on our upcoming content.